The big round room was full of noise. Hundreds of alien voices spoke at once. Some made clicking sounds. Others hummed like machines. A few roared like angry beasts. This was the Galactic Council chamber, where all the important decisions happened. Hyan Kim sat in the human section. He was tired, very tired. For 3 hours, he had listened to the same old complaints about humans. The tall blue Veltari spoke first. They said humans were too dangerous, too wild, too unpredictable. Humans build weapons too fast, said the Veltari leader. His voice was like ice. They explore space without permission. They ask too many questions. The crystal beings called HFY agreed. Their leader's voice sounded like breaking glass. Humans change things. We do not like change. Change is bad. Hyanwu looked at his papers. The Galactic Council had made 15 new rules this year. All 15 rules were about stopping humans from doing things. Humans could not explore new star systems. Humans could not build new ships. Humans could not research new technology. Humans could not trade with certain species. Dr. Soman Park sat next to Hyanwu. She was the human expert on technology. She had helped many alien species fix their problems. She had shared human knowledge freely. But today, she looked sad. They are voting again. She whispered to Hyanwu, same as always. The vote was about human FTL research. FTL meant faster than light travel. Humans had new ideas about how to travel between stars. The aliens did not want humans to have these ideas. 847 species voted yes. They wanted to stop human research. Only one species voted no. That was the small Keth Republic. Their leader was Jae-Hyun Lee. He was human, but he had married a Keth female. Now he was a Keth citizen too. The vote passes, announced the council speaker. The speaker was a floating blob of green slime. Humans must stop all FTL research immediately. Hyanwu felt something break inside him. This was too much. For 50 years, humans had been good members of the Galactic Council. They had followed the rules. They had helped other species. They had shared their knowledge and resources. But the aliens never trusted humans. They feared human creativity. They feared human courage. They feared human questions. Humans always asked why and how. Can we do this better? The aliens liked things to stay the same forever. Hyanwu stood up. The chamber became quiet. All eyes turned to him. Some aliens had many eyes. Others had no eyes at all. But they all looked at him. I have something to say, Hyanwu announced. His voice was calm but strong. The council speaker made a bubbling sound. The human representative may speak. Hyanwu walked to the center of the chamber. He looked around at all the alien faces. Some looked angry. Some looked bored. Some looked scared. For 50 years, humans have been part of this council, he began. We have followed your rules. We have helped when you needed help. We have shared our knowledge. We have been good neighbors. He paused. The chamber was very quiet now. But you do not trust us. You fear us. Every year, you make new rules to stop us. You treat us like children. You treat us like enemies. You treat us like we are not equal to you. The Veltari leader stood up. Humans are dangerous. You prove this with your words. No, Hyanwu said firmly. We are not dangerous. We are different. We think different thoughts. We ask different questions. We dream different dreams. This scares you. Dr. Soman Park stood up too. She walked to join Hyanwu. Then more humans stood up. One by one, all the humans in the chamber stood up. They walked to the center. They stood together. Today, you voted to stop our research. Hyanwu continued. You voted to stop our growth. You voted to stop our dreams. You have made your choice. Now we make ours. He pulled out a small device. It was a human communication pad. He pressed a button. Far away, on the human homeworld, Chairman Dao Hyan Choi was waiting. His face appeared on the screen. Chairman Choi Hyanwu said clearly, "Please make the announcement." Chairman Choi nodded. He looked tired too, but his voice was strong. The Human Republic hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council. This withdrawal is immediate and final. The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens shouted in hundreds of languages. Some jumped up, others fell down. The Veltari leader roared. The HFY leader made sounds like breaking mirrors. Chairman Choi continued speaking over the noise. We will honor our current trade agreements for 30 standard days. This will give everyone time to prepare. After 30 days, all agreements end. Humanity will make its own path among the stars. The council speaker was making loud bubbling sounds. Wait, you cannot do this. The council must vote. There are procedures. We are not asking for permission, Hyanwu said. We are telling you what we have decided. Humans are leaving. Dr. Soman Park pressed buttons on her own device. All around the galaxy, human research databases went dark. Shared files disappeared. Communication links shut down. The aliens had always used human technology to run their systems. Now that technology was gone. This is impossible, screamed the Veltari leader. You cannot survive without the council. We survived for thousands of years before we met you. Hyanwu replied. We will survive after we leave you." The other humans began walking out of the chamber. They moved calmly but quickly. They had prepared for this day. They had hoped it would never come, but they were ready. "Please reconsider," begged a small alien with 6 arms. "My people need human medicine. My children will die without it." Hien Wu stopped walking. For a moment, his face showed pain. Humans did not like to see others suffer, but he shook his head. "You should have thought about that before you voted to restrict us again," he said sadly. "You made your choice. Now, live with it." The humans left the chamber. Behind them, the aliens were still shouting. Some were crying. Others were making angry threats, but the humans did not look back. As news of the withdrawal spread across the galaxy, something interesting happened. The first ship to arrive at human space was not an alien ship. It was a human cargo vessel. The captain was Dongwu Nam. He had been trading with aliens for 20 years. "I heard the news," he told the space station commander. "When do we stop trading with them?" 30 days, the commander replied. "Then we come home." Captain Nam smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Good. I am tired of their rules. I am tired of their fears. I am tired of their disrespect." Similar conversations were happening all over the galaxy. Human traders were turning their ships around. Human scientists were packing their equipment. Human diplomats were saying goodbye to alien friends. The aliens were beginning to realize something terrible. They had not just lost their most creative members, they had lost their most helpful members. They had lost their most reliable members. They had lost the species that fixed things, that built things, that made things work. In the Galactic Council chamber, the aliens were still arguing, but some of the smarter ones were already calculating how much of their technology depended on human designs, how much of their food came from human agricultural methods, how much of their communication networks were built by human engineers. The answer was simple and terrifying. Almost everything. The humans had walked out, and for the first time in galactic history, the mighty Galactic Council was afraid. 3 months had passed since the humans left the Galactic Council. Captain Bioram Song stood on the bridge of her ship. She was looking at a human colony world called New Hope. Tomorrow, this world would be empty. All families are packed. She asked her crew. "Yes, Captain," replied her second officer. "The last transport leaves in 6 hours." Bioram felt sad but proud. Operation Silent Departure was working perfectly. For years, humans had planned for this day. They had prepared escape routes, they had built hidden supply bases, they had made secret agreements with friendly species. Now, every human was coming home. Soldiers, scientists, farmers, traders, everyone was leaving alien space. They took their knowledge with them. They took their tools. They took their secrets. Admiral Taemin Kong was managing the whole operation from New Seoul, the human capital world. He watched reports come in from across the galaxy. Human colonies evacuated. Human research stations empty. Human trade ships returning home. "How many people have we moved?" he asked his aide. 12 million so far, sir. Another 3 million to go." The admiral nodded. It was the largest evacuation in galactic history, and the aliens had no idea how big it was until now. On the alien worlds, strange things were happening. Engineer Yujin Han had been running the quantum communication networks for 12 sectors. When she left, the networks began to fail. Messages took days instead of seconds to travel between worlds. The Veltari Empire tried to fix their networks, but human technology was too complex. They did not understand how it worked. They had always let humans handle the technical problems. "Our ships cannot talk to each other," screamed the Veltari admiral. "How do we coordinate our fleets?" His engineers had no answer. Agricultural specialist Hai Wan Lim had designed the farming systems for 4 alien homeworlds. She had created special plants that could grow in alien soil. She had taught aliens how to make their food taste better and last longer. When she left, she took her plants with her. The alien farmers watched their crops turn brown and die. They did not know how to make the special fertilizer. They did not understand the growing cycles. "Our people will starve," cried the leader of the Morde water people. "We need human help." But the humans were gone. Merchant Captain Dongwu Nam was flying through what used to be a busy trade route. Now it was empty, silent, dead. "Remember when this place was full of ships?" asked his co-pilot. "I remember," Dongwu said quietly. "We made this route profitable. We brought trade to these systems. Now look at it." Space stations that had been built by human architects were having problems. The life support systems needed special maintenance. Only humans knew how to fix them. Architect Seijino had designed these stations to be perfect, but she had also made them dependent on human knowledge. Alien station commanders sent desperate messages. "Our air recyclers are failing. Help us." The messages went unanswered. Defense contractor Min Ho Yoon had sold weapons to many alien species. Good weapons, reliable weapons. But when the weapons broke down, only humans could fix them. The aliens had never bothered to learn. "Our AR guns do not work," reported a Corvan military officer. "Our shields are failing." Then learn to fix them yourselves. Came the cold reply from human space. The Galactic Council tried to send diplomats to the humans. They sent messages begging for talks. They offered money. They offered trade deals. They offered anything humans might want. The answer was always the same. An automated message in perfect galactic standard. The Human Republic is no longer accepting diplomatic contact with Galactic Council member species. Some aliens got angry. We do not need humans. They shouted, we are superior, we will manage without them. But their worlds were already falling apart. Others got scared. They remembered how much humans had helped them. They remembered human kindness, human creativity, human solutions to impossible problems. What have we done? Whispered the old Keth leader. We have thrown away the best thing that ever happened to our galaxy. The silence from human space was complete. No ships came out. No messages were sent. No humans answered any calls. It was as if humanity had vanished from the universe. But they had not vanished. They were just done with alien politics. 2 years had passed since the Great Silence began. Chancellor Nari Shin sat in her office on New Sol. She was reading reports from across the galaxy. The reports made her feel sad and angry at the same time. The Veltari Empire has lost 40% of their industrial capacity, she read aloud to her advisors. The HFY crystal cities are cracking. The Morde face extinction because their water systems are failing. Her military advisor, Supreme Commander Wu Jinbei, spoke up. They brought this on themselves. Chancellor, we warned them many times. I know, Nari replied. But I still feel sorry for the innocent people who are suffering. Commander Bei handed her another report. 3 alien fleets tried to enter our space last month. All 3 were disabled and sent back. How the new defense systems worked perfectly. Their ships just stopped working when they crossed our borders. No weapons fired. No one was hurt. They just found themselves floating in space, helpless. Chancellor Shin smiled slightly. Good, we are not monsters. We do not want to kill anyone. We just want to be left alone. But the aliens would not leave them alone. Every day brought new messages. Some were angry threats, others were desperate pleas. A few were attempts at bribery. Research Director Yuan-Ji Quan entered the room with exciting news. Chancellor, I have the latest reports from our science teams. What have they discovered now? Without the council restrictions, our progress has been incredible. Dr. Ji-hoon Park has perfected a new type of faster-than-light travel. We no longer need the old tunnel networks at all. Chancellor Shin raised her eyebrows. How much faster? 10 times faster than the council's best ships, and it uses half the energy. The restrictions had been meant to keep humans weak. Instead, they had only delayed human progress. Now that humans were free, their science was advancing at amazing speed. What else? The Chancellor asked. Consciousness transfer technology is almost ready. Matter manipulation research shows promise, and our dimensional folding experiments have succeeded. These were technologies that the aliens had said were impossible, too dangerous, too advanced for any species to handle safely. The humans were proving them wrong. Meanwhile, the galaxy was tearing itself apart. Without human mediation, old enemies were fighting again. The Corvan hegemony had declared war on 3 smaller species. The Veltari were fighting among themselves for the remaining resources. Ambassador Ron Kim worked from a neutral space station at the edge of human space. She was humanity's only contact with the outside galaxy. Every day, hundreds of messages arrived begging for help. Please, wrote the leader of the Ek Confederation. Our children are dying. We need human medicine. Our worlds are burning. Pleaded the Ceph Republic. We need human peacekeepers. Everything is falling apart, cried the unified clans. We need human engineers. Ron read every message. She felt sorry for them. But her orders were clear. No contact, no help, no exceptions. Some aliens refused to accept this. The Corvan hegemony assembled the largest military fleet in galactic history. 1,000 warships, led by their most experienced commanders. They intended to force humanity back into the council. Humans are weak, announced the Corvan war leader. They hide behind their borders like frightened children. We will show them the price of defying the strong. The Corvan fleet crossed into human space with all weapons ready. They expected a great battle. They expected human ships to fight them. Instead, they found something impossible. Every Corvan ship simply stopped working. Engines died. Weapons powered down. Life support switched to emergency mode. The ships were not damaged. They were just completely disabled. Human patrol ships appeared around the helpless fleet. The human ships were strange. They looked different from the old designs. Sleeker, more advanced, more powerful. Corvan fleet, came a calm human voice. Over the radio, you have entered human space without permission. You have brought weapons with hostile intent. Your ships are now disabled. Impossible, screamed the Corvan war leader. No technology can do this. You must be using forbidden weapons. We are using technology you told us not to develop. The human replied, you said it was too dangerous. You were wrong, as usual. The human ships began towing the Corvan vessels back to the border. Not one shot was fired. Not one life was lost. But the message was clear. Humanity had become something new, something powerful, something the aliens could no longer understand or control. News of the Corvan defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The aliens finally understood the truth. Humanity had not just left the Council, they had evolved beyond it, and they had done it in only 2 years. 5 years had passed since humanity walked out of the Galactic Council. President Gaiun Hong stood before the Human Senate, giving her annual address about the state of the galaxy. "My fellow humans," she began, "5 years ago, we were told we were too dangerous to be trusted, too wild to be controlled, too different to fit in." The senators listened quietly. They knew where this speech was going. They were right. The president continued with a smile. "We are different, and that difference has made us strong." She gestured to a large display screen. It showed a map of the galaxy. Half of it was colored red, showing chaos and war. The other half was colored blue, showing human expansion. "While our former council partners destroy themselves, we have thrived. Our population has doubled. Our territory has tripled. Our technology has advanced by centuries." General Il Sung Moon stepped forward with his report. "Madam President, human space now includes over 300 systems. We have established colonies on 2,000 worlds. Our defense capabilities are beyond anything the old council ever imagined." The numbers were staggering. In 5 years, humanity had expanded faster than any species in galactic history. They had built cities on impossible worlds. They had terraformed dead planets into gardens. They had created wonders that the aliens called magic. "What about our former council friends?" asked Senator Kim Min-Soo. Diplomat, Sang Ho, you stood to answer. "Half of the original council species have collapsed entirely. The Veltari Empire has broken into 12 warring factions. The Zephi have abandoned most of their worlds because they cannot maintain them. The Mordai have lost 60% of their population to system failures." The room was quiet for a moment. These had once been mighty civilizations. Now they were ruins. They are fighting resource wars across dozens of systems, Sang Ho continued. Without human mediation, ancient hatreds have exploded into open conflicts. Without human trade networks, they cannot get the materials they need to survive. President Hong nodded sadly. "We did not want this to happen. We hoped they would learn to work together. But some species cannot change." Fleet Admiral Jenna Rowe had better news to share. "Madam President, our exploration fleets have made contact with 17 new species beyond the galaxy's outer rim. All of them are eager to establish friendly relations." "What do these new species think of us?" "They see us as liberators, Madam President. To them, we are proof that it is possible to be both advanced and peaceful. They want to learn from us." This was the real victory. Humanity had not just survived leaving the Council. They had found new friends, better friends, species that judged humans by their actions, not their fears. President Hong looked at another report on her desk. It was from the ruins of the old Galactic Council. After 5 years of disaster, the surviving species had finally swallowed their pride. "They have sent another formal apology," she announced. "They want us to return. They promise to treat us as equals. They promise to lift all restrictions. They promise to give us full representation." The Senate chamber erupted in laughter. The promises were too little, too late. Senator Park Hyjin stood up. "What did you tell them, Madam President?" "I told them the truth," President Hong replied. "The Galactic Council is dead. They killed it with their arrogance and fear. We have moved beyond them." She paused, looking around the chamber at the representatives of humanity's bright future. "Besides," she added with a grin, "we are rather busy building something better." That something better was taking shape across human space. New cities that floated in the clouds of gas giants, underwater colonies that worked with ocean life instead of destroying it. Space habitats that were more beautiful than any natural world. Scientist Hyokjin Seo had perfected consciousness transfer technology. Humans could now back up their minds and live forever if they chose. Death had become optional. Engineer Youngmion had solved the matter energy problem. Humans could now create anything they needed from pure energy. Scarcity was becoming a memory. The old council species watched these miracles from afar. They begged for the secrets. They offered anything humans might want. The answer was always no. Let them figure it out themselves. President Hong had decided. "We shared our knowledge freely for 50 years. They repaid us with suspicion and restrictions. Now they can learn what it means to stand alone." 10 years had passed since humanity walked out of the Galactic Council. The galaxy was a very different place now. Ambassador Subin Jiang stood before representatives of 3,000 species in the Great Assembly Hall of New Geneva. This was not the old council chamber. This was something new, something better. "Welcome to the first meeting of the Terran Commonwealth," she announced. "Today, we begin a new chapter in galactic history." The representatives came from across the galaxy and beyond. Some were survivors of the old council species who had proven they could change. Others were new species that humanity had discovered in their explorations. All of them had one thing in common. They wanted to be part of humanity's vision for the future. The Commonwealth is not like the old council, Subin continued. We do not rule through fear. We do not restrict development. We do not punish creativity. We work together as equals to build a better tomorrow. In the audience, former enemies sat next to new friends. The few surviving Veltari had learned humility. They no longer claimed to be superior to other species. Some Zephi had adapted their rigid thinking to embrace change. Even a few reformed Corvin had given up their aggressive ways. Admiral Teho Jing commanded the Commonwealth's exploration fleets. His ships could travel between galaxies in days instead of centuries. They had discovered wonders beyond imagination. Civilizations millions of years old. Technology that seemed like pure magic. Life forms that existed in dimensions humans had never dreamed of. We have made contact with the Builders, he reported to the assembly. They are the species that created the tunnel networks the old council used. They are very impressed with human progress. What did they say? Asked Ambassador Subin. They said humanity has advanced faster than any species they have ever encountered. They want to share their knowledge with us. This was the ultimate recognition. The Builders were legendary. They had been exploring the universe when most species were still living in caves. If they respected humanity, it meant humans had truly joined the ranks of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. Terraforming director Meek Young Cho had been transforming entire solar systems into works of art. Barren worlds became gardens more beautiful than any natural paradise. Gas giants became floating cities that supported millions of beings in perfect harmony. We have completed the Paradise Project, she announced. 100 systems, each designed to support multiple species. In perfect ecological balance, the Paradise systems were humanity's gift to the galaxy. Any species could live there freely, as long as they followed the Commonwealth principles: cooperation, knowledge sharing, and respect for all life. Philosopher leader Sio Chinhan had written these principles into the Commonwealth Charter. Unlike the old council's rules, which were about restricting behavior, the Commonwealth principles were about encouraging growth. Every being has the right to reach their full potential, he had written. Every species has something unique to contribute. Every civilization deserves the chance to become something greater. These words were carved into the walls of every Commonwealth building. They were taught to every Commonwealth child. They were the foundation of the new galactic order. President Gaiun Hong looked out at the assembly with pride. 10 years ago, humanity had been treated like children by arrogant aliens. Now those same aliens were begging to learn from human wisdom. Some of you remember the old council. She addressed the assembly. You remember how it worked. Fear instead of trust. Restrictions instead of encouragement. Competition instead of cooperation? Many of the older representatives nodded sadly. They remembered those dark days. The Commonwealth is different, President Hong continued. We believe that when all species work together, everyone benefits. We believe that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. We believe that the galaxy is big enough for all of us to thrive. She paused, looking around at the thousands of faces listening to her. Humans, aliens, and beings that were completely new to galactic civilization. The humans did not seek to rule you, she said, her voice growing stronger. You chose to underestimate us. Now we offer you something your old council never did. True partnership among equals. The assembly erupted in cheers. Representatives from across the galaxy stood and applauded. Some had tentacles, others had wings. A few were just floating balls of energy, but they all understood the message. The galaxy belongs to all of us, President Hong concluded. But it will be governed by those wise enough to embrace progress rather than fear it. As the assembly continued, historian Doyan Lim sat in the observation gallery, writing the final chapter of his book about the fall of the old council and the rise of the Commonwealth. In the end, he wrote, the aliens got exactly what they feared most. They worried that humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too creative. They tried to contain human potential with rules and restrictions. He paused, thinking about the irony of it all. By trying to keep humans weak, they guaranteed that humans would become strong. By pushing humans away, they ensured that humans would build something better. By underestimating human determination, they sealed their own fate. He looked down at the assembly, where President Hong was announcing new exploration missions to distant galaxies. Missions that would discover new species, new technologies, new possibilities for growth and cooperation. The humans walked out. He finished writing. The galaxy panicked. And from the ashes of the old order, a golden age began. Outside the assembly hall, human children played in gardens that grew in zero gravity. Alien students studied in libraries that contained the knowledge of 10,000 civilizations. Scientists from dozens of species worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old council. The galaxy was finally at peace, not the peace of the strong ruling the weak, but the peace of equals working together toward a common goal. Humanity had kept its promise. They had moved beyond the petty fears and restrictions of the old council. They had built something better, something that would last for millennia to come. The age of human ascendancy had begun.